disastrous situation that just went down. Now, this Tony Buzbee guy is just all over the place. And listen, look, man, we're going to dive off into this. We're going to see what's going down. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
Shannon Sharpe is expected to sign a podcast deal that would exceed $100 million. It's been a long time coming since Undisputed. Ever since partnering with The Volume in August of 2023, Club Shay Shay absolutely took off. The show has amassed nearly 4 million subscribers, with his most popular episode being with comedian Cat Williams with 89 million views. The new deal isn't just about his show, Club Shay Shay. It actually encompasses all the different shows on its network. For more on Shannon Sharpe's upcoming podcast deal, visit frontofficesports.com.
Okay, so now Shannon just got this deal here not too long ago. Okay, this $100 million for Club Shay Shay. Now, hey, listen, look, that's a huge deal. Shout out to him. Okay, shout out to him. I got to give Shannon props. I like Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. I love Club Shay Shay and Nightcap, for real though. So this is where we at now. All of a sudden, miraculously, this person, this Jane Doe, comes out of the blue, and now all of a sudden, he's getting sued for half of that $100 million. Now, this is crazy out here. Let's go here now. Let's see what this gentleman has to say about Tony Buzbee.
Tony Buzbee should have been in centers because he don't have no morals whatsoever. Either Skip Bayless says Tony Buzbee, he was like, it's your turn to get sued, or Tony Buzbee just don't care. I'm sorry, nobody believes Tony Buzbee. Please. And they said it happened in January. I gotta see. I usually side with victims, but not this time. I don't believe it. Ain't no way Shannon Sharpe is making that type of mistake in these times.
Right.
After all that's happened to his friends and everything that's going on. Hell no. There's got to be a shakedown. 100% shakedown. They need like a celebrity version of Tony Buzbee, like a lawyer that they have like a pile of money for lawyers like Tony Buzbee, because that's just wrong. I don't see it happening. Tony is definitely a B. He'll sting you soon as you get some money.
Yo. I like that one. But it's the truth, though. Was he speaking any lies, though? Was he speaking any lies? I doubt it, because at the end of the day, this Tony Buzbee guy, and it's crazy out here. What is going on with this Tony guy? He already basically lost the situation with Jay-Z. So, it's like, okay, I'm going to keep going. It's got to be somebody else to sue. So, all right, this is where we at now. Let's go here real quick and see what's going down. All right. Excuse me. Damn it. My bad. Hold on.
But Shannon Sharpe is being sued for $50 million in a lawsuit that accuses him of a number of things. And I read the 14-page complaint, so let me tell you exactly what Jane Doe is alleging Shannon Sharpe did. Now, the lawsuit was filed by attorney Tony Buzbee, who we know well, on behalf of his Jane Doe client. The suit says that Jane Doe met Shannon Sharpe at a gym in LA in early 2023 when she was 19 and Shannon Sharpe was in his 50s. Sharpe aggressively pursued her, and she eventually gave him her number. But before the two of them even hang out, he apparently tries to get her to sign an NDA.
Okay.
She refuses to sign it, so he eventually stopped asking and invited her over. Jane Doe agrees to go over, and according to the complaint, the very first night was disturbing and unsettling. The suit says he opens the door and without saying a word, just walks upstairs. She follows him, he goes into his bedroom, and then points at the bed. He goes to the bathroom and then comes out, cuts out the lights, and then lays in the bed. Jane Doe says she didn't know what to do, so she just lays in the bed with him, and then the two of them lay there. So
you're going to lay in the bed with a grown-ass man, go over to his house. Then, first of all, how this is starting out is crazy. So, and what she accused him of aggressively pursuing him. Listen, look, I doubt if it was aggressively. He probably, so they're in the gym together. So, I'm pretty sure he probably being cordial. And she know who he is. She know he's Shannon Sharpe. Come on now. Listen, this whole lawsuit here is getting weird. It's weird. And so, he invites her over. She goes over. Like she don't know she going over for her. Okay, let's keep going.
For 10 minutes silently. And then after those 10 minutes, things started happening. The suit claims that at one point, Jane Doe realized that Shannon Sharpe was recording their encounter without her knowledge or her consent. And then the following day, Jane Doe comes back to Shannon Sharpe's house, but she gets there about 5 minutes after the time he told her to arrive. And so she says when she gets inside, he begins yelling at her, accusing her of disrespecting him and wasting his time. He then allegedly grabs her by her neck and then begins engaging with her. But this time he apparently tells her that he's going to end her life. And so, according to Jane Doe, this was the kickoff to the almost 2-year relationship that the two of them had, filled with control, physical, emotional, and psychological abuse. She knows.
So this woman stuck around for 2 damn. Hold on. Hold on.
So what's the French toast is there to think about?
So allegedly, she done went over to this man's house twice at this point, from what she's reading off here. And he's hemming her up. He's doing all types of dirty, talking about he's gonna delete her and things like that. What? And then you stuck around for 2 years, man. What is this? Come on now, you, man. Come on, people. Come on, and don't give me that Stockholm shit. You know, they barely at the beginning. They barely was talking, and then it was at the gym. Like, man, come on, man.
That he once yelled at her while there was a firearm in the room, and because she was scared, she began sharing her location with her friends. But when Shannon Sharpe saw her sharing her location, he allegedly grabbed her by the neck and told her that if she did that again, he would end her life. The lawsuit says that in 2024, Shannon Sharpe and Jane Doe both moved to Vegas, but it notes that Shannon Sharpe apparently likes to claim that Jane Doe followed him to Las Vegas, but she says that's a lie and she went to Las Vegas for her own reasons. Okay, girl. The suit says in September of 2024, when Shannon Sharpe did that infamous live stream, Jane Doe began to pull away from him because her name ain't Michelle, and she thought the two of them were in an exclusive relationship, but clearly not. About a month later, in October of 2024, Jane Doe says that she was working out at the gym when Shannon Sharpe aggressively approached her. He comes over and tells her to sit down or he's going to end her life. Jane Doe's refusing to speak with.
Hold on here. So he walks into the gym, sees her, walks over to her, tell her, you better sit down, or else I'm gonna end your life. I can't do my Shannon Sharpe that good. I'm sorry, but but no, at the gym. Okay, then where's the footage? Where's the footage? Because all gyms have cameras nowadays. It's the 21st century. You can't walk down the street without being caught on a camera from a light pole, police camera, something, or cell phone from somebody. It's cameras everywhere. Where's the footage of this? Of Shannon Sharpe bullying that girl in the damn gym? In the gym. Man, come on now. What are we, man, people, please. This is clearly a $500,000 million shakedown.
With him, and so he then allegedly forced her into his car, took her back to her apartment, and then without consent engaged with her while she was crying and telling him to stop. The suits.
This is getting crazy and I'm sorry for having to stop, but this is so he forced her out of the gym into the car, took her back to her place. Keep in mind, how did he know where she lived? Because obviously this is at this point right here, from what I'm saying, like they had moved to Vegas, right? So I mean, the shit not adding up. So she was calm enough to get in the car. She was being forced. Why she wouldn't scream? I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people around. He forced you out of the gym first. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people in the gym. Well, I mean, this is making no sense, man.
Specifically says that Shannon Sharpe told her, quote, "I'm going to punish this. I'm going to make it so no man will want you again." A few months after this, in January of 2025, the lawsuit says that Shannon Sharpe told Jane Doe that he wanted to see her and that he had a combined Christmas and birthday gift to give to her because he previously promised her one. So she allows him to come over, and when he did, the suit says that he undressed, and again, despite her screaming and resisting him, he engaged with her without her consent. And so she's suing him for assault and battery and emotional distress. And she's asking for $50 million. As of now, Shannon Sharpe has not responded to the lawsuit, and like always, these are allegations that have to be proven in court. It's also worth noting that this lawsuit references another Shannon Sharpe lawsuit that was apparently filed in New York last year and has similar claims, but I haven't read that lawsuit, so I can't speak to it. So we will see how this one plays out. Child. All right.
So, all right, my little take here is, it's crazy to me that right after he gets this quote unquote promotion or whatever, now all of a sudden, it's an issue and, everybody wants half of this $100 million that he's about to receive. Now, it also sounds to me like it was a lot of foreplay going on, that, she was resisting and stuff, little foreplay like that she's trying to recap now and say she was being abused.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
You got to watch that type of stuff. All that aggressive foreplay with some women, especially when you got money like this, man, that aggressive foreplay, she could take that in her mind and rewrap it and repackage it and be, oh my God, he was abusing me. It's the whole time she do it to me rough, daddy. Grab me. You know what I'm saying? And you grabbing her, y'all into it at that moment. She, to you, she enjoying it and things like that. But the whole time she thin line between love and hate around here.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's true. I'm thinking that's what we're down. So she trying to recap like, the alleged abuse was, it really wasn't abuse. They were just probably doing foreplay and shit. And now she's saying it's abuse. It's crazy out here. All right, let's go here now to Law and Crime, and let's see what they have to say and break this thing down. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
With Shannon Sharpe, who's in the spotlight for his own accusations of abuse. Because on Monday morning, Texas attorney Tony Buzbee announced on his Instagram that he'd filed a $50 million lawsuit in Nevada court against Sharpe. On Instagram, he wrote in part, "I'm extremely proud to represent Jane Doe. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up against those with power, fame, and money. I look forward to pressing this case in court." So we're going to go over this, but I want to first bring in John Clune, civil attorney who litigates on behalf of survivors of sexual abuse and sexual assault. John, so good to have you. And again, this is kind of...
And before the lawyer gets started, my other question is, why ain't these people ever going after criminal charges? Well, I mean, it's all civil. If it was really what it was and things like that, and there's true evidence of this type of egregious crime, where's the criminal charges?
Breaking news. I didn't have an opportunity to fully go through this lawsuit. So you and I are going to break this down in basically real time. When we saw this early this morning, it was a shock to us. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was the timing of it, to be honest. Before I read the lawsuit, just the timing of it for it to be filed, on Easter Sunday, that struck me as an unusual move. But then as I went through the lawsuit, the allegations are pretty disturbing. We don't know if they're true or not, but what's written in the complaint is pretty terrible stuff.
John, I have to say, to go after Shannon Sharpe, if you're Tony Buzbee, after what just happened with Jay-Z, remember, he filed that lawsuit on behalf of a Jane Doe, a woman who claimed that she was 13 years old back in 2000 and was sexually assaulted by Jay-Z.
And on that situation with the Jay-Z situation, I did my broadcast on that. It's on my channel. But the problem is, the girl came out and she said she was autistic at the same time too. And then my issue was, whoever drove her to this party they drove this little girl at that time, allegedly, from someplace in mid New York state to New York City. And it was a long drive, very long drive. And, some woman that she knew drove her there, a 13-year-old girl, to an adult party, and then left her there. She had to catch another ride home or some to that degree. I'm sorry, people, but no, it was crazy, though. It was crazy.
Lawsuit was dropped, and it came after serious questions of her story and credibility surfaced, both reported by NBC News and evidence that was presented by Jay-Z's side. Jay-Z ended up suing this woman, suing Tony Buzbee as well. So now to go after Shannon Sharpe, another high-profile figure, does that tell you that he feels he has the evidence in this case?
Well, Mr. Buzbee is a pretty bold mover in this space. I mean, he seems to not be, shy about his decision making. So it could mean that he's got the goods in this particular case, or it could just be, kind of par for the course, and this is how he, handles his high profile cases.
I mean, for me, it seems like Buzbee is reckless as hell. Definitely because, with the Jay-Z situation and that kind of folded up and things like that. It's like he just shooting in the dark. And, Tony did put that number out there for that hotline a while back, if y'all remember that, about victims calling in and stuff like that and telling their stories about who they allegedly was SA by and all these types of things. And I'm pretty sure he's getting just a ton of calls from women just talking out the side of their neck.
But and me and I know, you can't just file a frivolous lawsuit. You can't file a lawsuit to harass somebody.
He did with Jay-Z. Obviously, the evidence didn't add up.
You have to believe the law, the facts. There's, there has to be some semblance of facts that you put forward in a complaint that pass a motion to dismiss test. So he has to feel that he might not have all the evidence right now, but he has to feel confident in Jane Doe's account, right? Otherwise, he'd be breaking ethics rules.
Yeah, and the thing with these accounts, like in a sexual assault, just a Jane Doe against an individual, is it's really hard to get rid of that case on a motion to dismiss or even down the road on a motion for summary judgment. Because if you have your client who's saying, this is what happened to me, and then in this case, say Mr. Sharpe says, no, that's not what happened, it was very different, that's really a trial issue. That's not something a judge is really going to dismiss on motion. So other types of cases that have more subtle elements to them maybe can get dismissed on motion, but this kind of thing is really hard for a defendant to get rid of short of trial.
By the way, our content shows just how rampant crime is right now, and that is especially true with cybercrime.
Okay, you talking about the cybercrime. Let me fast forward a little bit. But this is ridiculous, bro. The way that Tony Buzbee is just going after rich people. Definitely rich men, you know what I'm saying? And it's wild and highly disrespectful. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. You thought he would learn after the Jay-Z situation to be more careful with who he's trying to sue. Let's keep going.
Jane Doe. So filing under Jane Doe, a pseudonym. Typically speaking, how likely is it that she will be able to continue moving forward in this litigation anonymously? I know in the Sean Combs case, several courts have said that the Jane Does and possibly even the John Does have had to come forward and reveal their identities. Talk to me about what the interests, the different factors the court will look at and whether or not Jane Doe would be able to proceed anonymously.
Yeah, I'd say at best it's 50-50 that she's able to proceed in that fashion. I mean, generally speaking, there's a strong preference in the courts for transparency and open proceedings that includes using your real name in the lawsuit. If you can convince a court that there's a public interest in keeping her name from the public, which can be something like safety issues, it can be the shame of the situation, if it's the age of the person, quite often if they're underage, you're much more likely to be able to keep the pseudonym. But in this kind of a case where it's one adult against another, unless there's any particular safety harms, it's not an easy thing to be able to convince a judge to keep it as a Jane Doe.
Yeah, and I've seen the argument put forward by the judge. Basically, if you are choosing to file a lawsuit and you are putting this celebrity in the spotlight, the defendant has a right to defend himself, to investigate your claims, to investigate you. You're the one who chose to file the lawsuit and put your credibility at issue. So you should have to be able to proceed with your name and your identity being exposed. But again, there are certain factors to consider. And by the way, when we talk about...
All right, this is where I'm going to end it here. Real talk. Because, this whole situation is crazy. It's a mess. And, like I said, from what the young lady was reading about the way things went down, allegedly, it sounded like it was foreplay in place, that she's trying to turn around now and say that she was SA'd, after the announcement that Shannon Sharpe is getting, $100 million for Club Shay Shay. Now, and Tony, of course, he's going to be on board to see what he could get. It just is what it is, because Tony's a fucking shark out here. Hey. And my other question is, I thought that, and Tony Buzbee's from Texas, I think. I mean, I thought you had to be a part of that state's bar association to practice law in the state that you are not from. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. If excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. I had to belch a little bit. But if you know about that, if you know how lawyers work with that situation, let me know down in the comments, because like I say, I was thinking that if you're a lawyer in one state, you can't practice law in another state without being a part of that bar association for that state. So, you know, and Tony Buzbee seems to be running all over the damn country, just suing every fucking body.
So what the French toast is there to think about?
You know, he from Texas to New York, and you know, I thought you had to be a part of that state's bar association. But this is wild right here. Tony's a true shark out here. Definitely trying to see how this is going to unfold. It looks like a money grab to me, because the way it sounds, and you know, 2 years after allegedly being abused, and she stuck around for 2 more years, and oh my goodness, was forced out the gym. Where's that footage? But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.